Hello there. So in my last video I mentioned that I'd be looking at a piece of hardware, and the day has come. I'm going to be looking at something Next related, an evolution, an upgrade to something that already exists, and I'll show you that thing that already exists. It is the Xberry Pi, created by the wonderful Don Superfo. This is the 4G model of the Xberry Pi, so it's not the most recent. I know that some things have been added since this version. I've also stripped this one down a little bit, taken off the ESP and the Raspberry Pi so you can see better. But I'm aware that the 5D version has some extra gubbins on this riser here and has an additional joystick port, I believe. But I'm not sure of all the differences. But because I don't own a 5D, I can't compare and contrast this new version. This is the Xberry Pi 2, and it is based on the Kickstarter 2 Spectrum Next. So that means we have shifted away from this Spartan 6 here, and we have moved into the world of Artix, the Artix 7 as seen on Kickstarter 2. And you can see here this is the Artix 7 15T. Sorry. We also have the same amount of memory, although you can see on the top original Xberry Pi, this LSSI chip is quite large compared to its sister in the Xberry Pi 2. So this is still the same capacity. It's a 1024 16-bit, which gives 2 megabytes of SRAM. So just walking around this Xberry Pi, starting with the header for the Raspberry Pi 0 here. Above that we have the JTAG for programming the FPGA, and then moving left again we have these holes for matrix keyboard. Moving around there we have the traditional PS2 socket, but underneath we also have somewhere like we could tap into if we wanted to. This exposes the signals to the PS2. Between the PS2 and this joystick port here, we have some other holes that we can use. And these holes here are for reset div MMC drive, basically the buttons that would normally be presented on the side of the NEX. Then, as I mentioned, the joystick port, and again under the board, these 9 pins could be tapped into. We've also got, as per I think the Xberry 5D, we have another header here right behind this joystick port, which gives us the capability to add a second joystick port, which I'll show you in a moment. As we move around, we've got the header, sorry it's fallen out the light there, header for the ESP module there, and we've got the traditional audio out, stereo, left and right, but also between this and the mic ear port we've also got these pins here, these holes here, which are giving you ground and then audio out left and right, so you can tap into those. Mic ear here, and again to the left of that you have the ability to tap straight into the ear mic. I did miss this little white connector here. I think that's actually an internal beeper connector. I got this, I've not actually tried it out to be honest. I got this with the Xberry as well, so yeah, presume that is for a beeper. And it does kind of sit in the right area to be a beeper. Just above this mic ear port we have this other header, which is for VGA, which ties neatly into this second joystick port here, which I'll show you in a sec. Then we have micro HDMI, so as per the old 4G version I had full size HDMI. I'm not sure what happened with the 5D, whether they went full size to micro HDMI or not. And then you have USB-C power, which was formerly micro USB in this older version that I've got. I'm just trying to think if there's anything else on there. Yeah, we've got the RTC battery, RTC chip, we've got the clock, crystal, is there anything else? Of course, we've got the micro SD slot underneath, and of course, we've got this big right-angled header sticking out the side. And I'm not sure whether the finished version will have this header populated or not. This is a prototype. It's not finished yet. But the idea of this is that you can basically connect a daughter board or some other type of device that matches the Kickstarter 1 daughter board. So the traditional 10-pin connector to a daughter board, which would then give you second SD card capability and also give you the reset drive NMI buttons as well, however you want to channel those. And I think that's about it on this board. Is there anything I've not covered? No, I think that's about it. So this comes with a riser, as per this one as well. This 4G just has the VGA on a riser, but this Xray Pi 2 and possibly the 5D as well of the original Xberry Pi has this additional element to the riser, and these pins just connect in to this socket behind the first joystick port. Now, one of the issues with this design as it stands is that there's a clash on the ESP module, and I'm just trying to remember which ESP it is. I've got, yeah, this is the Kickstarter 2.1, the 12F. So this plugs in there, but now what we're going to get is a slight clash. So this is something that he still needs to sort out. So this, I can't actually see what I'm doing here. So this connects into the VGA header and into the second joystick header, and now we have VGA and two joystick ports. So when I mention the clash, if I can perhaps just show this ESP module is being pushed down ever so slightly by this riser PCB. It's not a significant thing. I don't know whether it does require fixing or whether he's going to shave a fraction of a millimeter or just shift this VGA connector along ever so slightly. The other outstanding action, I believe, with this board is HDMI back power is not yet resolved. So that's something on his to-do list. But again, it's a fantastic piece of kit. Kickstarter 2 compatible. You'll probably find the alt cores maybe a bit more featureful for the Kickstarter 2 versus the Kickstarter 1. Maybe some quality of life improvements. But yeah, I'm going to just fire this up. I've got a micro SD card in there anyway. Before I do that, I just wanted to show you the actual bare PCB, because I love bare PCBs. I think they look great. So when you look at that and think, geez, how does machinery actually attach these components? It's kind of magic to me. I can only solve the very large things, but just seeing kind of this, it's like, Jesus. So yeah, that is the bare PCB. Is there anything else to show? No. Okay. So I'm going to plug this in. I'm going to start probably with HDMI. So obviously you need a full-size HDMI to micro HDMI adapter. I'm going to plug in some audio here as well, should I choose to fire up a game, although I've not got an awful lot on this SD card, to be honest. The other thing I'm going to need, of course, is the PS2 keyboard, which I have right here. I'm not going to plug a mouse in at this point. This is a splitter that does both keyboard and mouse. And what else should I plug into this thing? Power probably is a good idea. I do have a daughter board that I could plug into this, but it's slightly damaged. It's a spare, and the SD card slot is, well, traces are damaged there. some experimentation that went wrong. I've also got this really long cable as well, because I can't find an original one at the moment. So in plugging this into here, it's not actually going to let me use a second SD card because it doesn't work. All it will probably allow me to do is press the, the buttons. See if I can get that down a bit further. My cables are a bit twisted. And of course, the final piece of the puzzle is USB-C. And hopefully this should just fire up and work, unless I've not thought of something. Power light is good. There we go, Xray Pi. Running the latest firmware and core by the looks of it as well. Let me just make this bigger. Okay. Now, as I said, I don't have much on this SD card, I don't think. Or have I? I could be lying. No, literally get it and Mercenary. Let's see. So I've got the Wi-Fi plugged in, so get it probably work. I think I may have configured the Wi-Fi on this. Let me just check. Yep, that works. I can't actually think of anything to search for, so yeah. What should we get? Piggy in the Woods. What is Piggy in the Woods? I need to explore this more. I shouldn't take long. Okay, next basic minigame. Yeah. Okay. Actually, I'm going to test out the reset button actually on this. Yeah. And the, that one. Yep, that works. But unfortunately, yeah, I can't test out the SD card, which I might do at some point. I've got all sorts in here. I didn't download Piggy, did I? Am I being an idiot? I don't think I did I? I think you have to, hold on. I think you have to confirm it, and I probably didn't confirm it because I can't multitask. Can't talk to you and actually do stuff at the same time. Okay, Piggy in the Woods. Download. Yes. See, that's the step I missed out. Don't make that mistake. Oh, unzip, yeah, okay. Delete the zip, yeah. Okay. Resetting it because I'm lazy. Right. Piggy! I've never seen Piggy in the Woods. O-P-A-Z. I've got a joystick plugged in, but to the life of me. Actually, no, I didn't plug the joystick in, did I? Because I'm an idiot. I did before. Let me just, yeah. Forgot about that. Well, having done that, I'm not even sure where my controller is. Probably in there, and it's probably got no battery. Let's have a look. Yeah, I'm not sure. How do I shoot? Or can I shoot? Anyway, that's some Piggy in the Woods. I'll play that another time. Yeah, so I've only got Mercenary on there, and of course all the next demos and such. This is the version of Mercenary that Mike Daly had a fiddle with, and I guess the lines, object lines that used to be dotted, are now filled, and it runs faster too. This is one of my favourite games of all time. Come on. The drama. Can we just crash already? Yeah, so the text is a bit behind the actual game. The game is sped up a bit, but with this Mercenary version here, you can see that the objects in it are filled lines instead of the original Spectrum version, which was just dotted lines, and that always annoyed Mike. So yeah, I can't remember how you actually get into vehicles. B. Yeah, you steal the vehicle and then someone comes and tries to kill you and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, that's the Xberry Pi 2. And I am not sure when it's going to be available to buy. I don't know when Don is going to fix the HDMI back power or what he's going to do about this little bit of... just see him, yeah, being killed. Yeah, I don't know what he's going to do about the clash yet, or how things are, whether he's just going to shave a bit off there. But yeah, it's pretty much there. It's a great addition to the next range of clones. It'll give people a little bit more headroom in kind of FPGA world, because the issue 1's always been, or the issue 2 board in the Kickstarter 1 has always been quite marginal in terms of logic elements and how much there is actually left to play with. Whenever you do builds for Kickstarter 1, many times they fail. The routing goes all screwy. You don't end up with a good build. They need lots and lots and lots of testing. Kickstarter 2 has a little bit more headroom now, so there may be some bells and whistles that can be added. As I mentioned, quality of life improvements. There's talk of Kickstarter 1 maybe splitting cores and having a core for HDMI and having a core for VGA. So the end user, that doesn't make any difference really, because you would choose VGA and the machine would just come up in VGA. You would choose HDMI and the machine would just come up in HDMI. It's transparent to the user, but what's actually happening under the hood is it's switching out one core with another. Whereas with KS2 and beyond that, both would fit in the same core. So yeah, that is the Xberry Pi 2. I don't know if there's anything else I can say about it, apart from thanks to Don Superfo for continuing to support the scene, the next scene, and the Spectrum scene, and hardware in general. The guy's a one-man factory who just creates anything and everything, and it's just great to see him embracing this, continuing its development, and then hopefully in the future we will see a Kickstarter 3 version. But we have to bear in mind with Kickstarter 3 that whilst the PCB design is finalised, the boards haven't been created yet, although that is imminent. So really, for someone to create something along the lines of Kickstarter 3, it's going to take time. As I mentioned in a previous video, we have changed the VGA side of things on this. What used to be a resistor ladder was replaced with a DAC. So that needs consideration, and I don't think I can get the camera in to show you. Actually, you can probably see there, just to the right of this VGA connector, you can see all these resistors here. This is a resistor array. So replacing that with a DAC, there's basically 3 extra chips that need to handle the VGA signal, so it's going to need quite a bit of rerouting and such and testing, but I'm sure he'll get there one day. It's just nice now to know that we're going to have more Kickstarter 2 clones out there, because for the last years it has been exclusively Kickstarter 1 clones, Spartan 6. We have NGO, and we have, well, primarily we have NGO and Xberry Pi, and I believe NGO might be doing something in this arena as well. I'm not sure if that's going to be KS2 or KS3, but I think the potential of these is pretty great, because what you could stick one of these in, if you stripped off all of the bulk of the connectors, so just rip all this off, get rid of it, and you can tie into these holes directly. So you could create something quite low profile to go inside something, and I'm thinking, something handheld or whatever. As I probably mentioned with my last video on Xberry, which is a long time ago now, so I can't remember what I said. But the potential for just sticking this board in something and then doing kind of a bodge job, just soldering wires here, there and everywhere and presenting built-in screen, take the HDMI signal and feed the screen, feed 5 volts, and all of that. The ability to create something of your own, I think, with this board is great, and relatively inexpensive when compared to the price of the next. Means that, you could probably get one of these to experiment with and play around with, and you've not lost too much if you blow the thing up. But yeah, that is it. Xray Pi, KS2, and I'm going to be getting back to my floppy drive testing, because you can't see it here because the camera's too zoomed in. I completed the 3-inch drive testing in a previous video. Was it my last one or the one before? I can't remember. And I've also tested a single 3.5-inch drive. But what I've not been able to do is get a 3.5 and a 3-inch drive working at the same time. And I'm just in the process of checking to see whether a 3.5 and a 3.5 work. This is with a different interface than I used last time. So this is the interface that I used originally. This is the one that clashes with the HDMI port, but has the drive select jumpers on there. And from the mighty Don Superfo again, because he is truly mighty. If I can just get this out for a moment, it's in the back of my neck for a moment, so unplug that. So this is the original Don Superfo floppy interface for the, well, as you can see there actually, you can see there his name's on it, Don Superfo 128ZX. Is that Nuvo 128? Spectrum clone I think that he did. And this is the floppy interface that he made for it. The benefit of this is that, well, it's no wider than the connector, so there's no fouling up on the HDMI. The only thing is it doesn't have drive select, but he's going to look to add that. But anyway, I'm going to focus on multiple drives on the next in another video because it has been quite painful. And I've made God knows how many cables, and I don't want to pollute this video on the Pi talking about something else because my mind tends to just wander. So let's go back to the Xberry Pi and say thanks for watching.